Welcome, I am Atmar, and today we're playing Jenga. Nah, not really. So this is a Seiko watch I bought on a local online marketplace, and I haven't opened it up yet. I know that it is defective, but I have no clue what is defective, and the picture, I didn't save it, but it was very vague. So here's the first time of me opening it up, and it looks pretty good actually. Yeah, pretty shiny. It is used, it has some minor scratches, you cannot see it on the film, but yeah, it looks okay. Has a Seiko logo on there and everything. I was worried that this would be a fake, but no, it seems good. The hand is rotating. And even the date is working. It's not running, of course, but let's open it up and see on the inside. I'm using my cheap case opener here. I got it in a big box of watch tools. It's very cheap, but it does the job. I might need to replace it at some point. Now let's see what's inside. Oh. Oh. Hey. The rotor is loose. Okay. That explains why it's not working. That's very weird. Do these things fall off? Huh. And by the way, I should tell you that I opened the Seiko before, and it sort of looks similar. It was an older model than this, but this is actually like the third watch that I ever opened up. So I am a noob, but yeah, I do know my way around an older Seiko movement. So the rotor is working, sort of. Very strange. Doesn't seem like it's damaged. And I cannot press it on. It is spinning if I push it in. It's so weird. Why did it fall off? So it's not getting any power from the automatic winding, so if I just push the... Oh my god, it's working. Oh. So I gave the barrel a little bit of a spin, and then it just kicks right up. Ah, so the automatic rotor fell off, it's not working. But if I wind it up, it is working. Nice. It's actually ticking away. Oh, this could be an easy fix. Ah, so I figured it out. The rotor See on, this thing, this tiny wire-looking thing. Seems to be working. There's supposed to be two. There needs to be one on the other side as well. So this broke off. Actually turning. So I think this watch has some fall damage. You cannot see it, but on the outside, but it looks like it's been dropped, or something else that put it under extreme stress. Where it sort of tore the rotor off and damaged the winding part, the automatic winding part of this watch. And that is fixable. But first let's look how this watch, which is now running, looks under the time grapher. Oh, okay, it's running sort of 2 seconds a day off, amplitude 181, which is good. The beat error is atrocious. 6.3 milliseconds is way too big. It should be like 0.1 or something, or 0.2. So this watch could use a service. So let's just do that. So here goes the click spring, which is a weird Seiko click spring. The other watch that I took apart was a Seiko 6903, I think. And this is the 7S26A variant, which is newer, so it should be better, right? Now let's remove the crown and the crown stem. And I really needed to look this up. There's this small tab, which is only visible when the crown is in its in position. You need to press it down, and there it goes. Really took me an hour to look this up and see what is going on. But yeah, it comes out if you know what you're doing. which happens a lot in watchmaking. You need to know what you're doing. And I don't, obviously. So let's continue disassembling the watch. And I got a little bit too excited and I forgot to take the dial off. So now we need to take the dial off while the main bridge is out, and I already lost a part turning this over. You shouldn't do this, so yeah, you come to my channel to see what you should not do at all. So yeah, here is me taking the case and the dial apart. So there it is. Now let's remove the hands. This is a bit of a fiddly job. Last time I didn't use a piece of plastic, so I've been collecting lots of pieces of plastic. Now let's try to remove these hands. It scratched up the dial last time, so you need to put a piece of plastic in. It's a little bit difficult. Let's try again. It's a really fiddly job, and I'm worried that I'm gonna scratch this up again. There it goes. Look at that. So let's use my new plastic pliers. Or tweezers, not pliers at all. Put them away. And these are very cheap AliExpress tweezers. And they didn't last very long, so don't buy these. But at least I didn't scratch up my dial hands. Now let's see, where do I take the case off? Can't find any screws. It's plastic, obviously, but oh, there's some wheels on my pad. This is why you shouldn't take your watch apart before removing the dial. Stuff will fall out, which is not good. So let's put these away. I think they're still good. Oh, I dropped it. So now let's turn our attention to the dial. I can't seem to figure out how to open this up. There's some screws here which look suspicious. But when I turn them, nothing really happens. They're pretty tiny. They don't come loose, so I'm not sure what's going on here. Oh, hey, look what we found. So that's the other side of the thing that broke off I was telling you about, of the automatic winding. Well, that's the thing that broke off. So we found it. Getting a bit frustrated here. So I turn these screws, but then nothing comes loose. They don't come out. It just seems stuck. Let's just leave that for now and remove the pallet fork. That is something that I do know how to do. So this is the pallet fork bridge with this tiny little screw. It only has one screw. And there is the bridge. Oh, it jumps away a little bit. There it goes. And now we can remove the pallet fork. It's really tiny. Getting a little bit of trouble with these brass tweezers. But there it goes. Oh, I dropped it. And let's just continue the disassembly with removing the escape wheel. And I found something on the way. I'm not sure what that was. Piece of plastic. I think it broke off somewhere. Or it was just dirt on the table. And now let's remove this other bridge. I'm not sure what wheel this is. If this is the hour or minute or center wheel. Not sure anymore. But let's remove the keyless works first. It's a bit difficult to see, especially with my finger in the way, but There's this whole plate running at the top that needs to be removed. Some very tiny screws here. And there it goes. Now we need to remove this top part. Oh, everything flew away. So this is going to be a pain to put together again, because I have no idea how this went and how this should be put together again. So now we need to look at the dial again. I'm going to speed this up. We need to get it out. And I have discovered, after a long search, that these little screws have like a plate on it, and in a certain position they are sort of open. And it took me a long time, but if you put them both to open, you can get the dial out. And here we have the date and week wheel. And in the middle, at the center, there's this C-clip that we need to remove. On the other Seiko movement that I did, it had sort of the same C-clip. You need to be careful not to let it spring away, you know. But I did another one, so should be fine, right? It's a bit tricky. And carefully pry it loose. It seems to be on there a little bit more than the other one that I did. Seems a different style. And it's gone. So, it just sprang away. And it sprang away on a side of the desk that has a lot of clutter. And it's gone. Well, let's just soldier on. So I already got the weak wheel off. And let's just continue disassembling. There's all these plates here with a lot of springs. And of course all these screws are very tiny. But there's that plate. Inspect it to see where it goes. I need to remember it, so I'm trying to remember it this time. Usually I go in way too hard and do everything fast and then forget how it goes. And here I wanted to show, while I'm taking the screw out, sometimes how long it takes to get a screw out. This is sort of not working along. It's my screwdriver slipping. And sometimes it just takes a while to get a screw out. It's slipping again. So I decide to get my tweezers and then it's still stuck. So I turn around the whole thing and now it's loose. Sometimes you can just do that. Probably not the way you should do it. But yeah, this channel is not about doing it right the first time. It's about doing it wrong probably a lot of the times and then learning. So yeah, learning right here. So let's move on with the next plate. And here it goes. Oh, there's a lot more parts under here. Let's move this out of the way. Oh, and there I dropped it again. So these brass pliers are a little bit softer, so they're less precise, but they won't make any scratches on any of the parts. So that's why I'm using it here. But yeah, I tend to drop a lot of stuff. Not used to them as well. They're pretty cheap. Maybe I should get some nice ones pretty soon. Lots of moving parts here. I can remove a lot of them without any screws, it seems. Oh, date wheel has come loose. Nice. Gonna grab my plastic pliers for that, so I don't damage it. Even though the brass is pretty soft, it will damage the date wheel. So now I'm getting my metal pliers to get that spring out. It's way easier that way. You see, already I'm way more precise with these tweezers. I tend to say pliers, right? I shouldn't. They're not pliers. Trying to get the canyon pinion off, and it's off. And the wheel has dropped out from under it. Now, it seems that everything is off. Other than this plastic ring, I'm not sure how to get it off. Is it just press fit in, or? Yeah. Yeah, it's just press fit. Oh. So this is everything removed. Pretty nice. So now we can remove the jewels and oil everything up. But before that, there's one thing that we need to do. Drink tea. Now, before we go into the jewels themselves, I just wanted to show you the scale of the things that we are working with here. So here is the movement, the back side of it. So the dial should be on this side. And here is the jewel that we're going to work on. So the movement is already like a little bit bigger than my thumb. And look how tiny that little thing is. And here is the jewel out of its case. And we're trying to put a little bit of oil on there. Should be like 50% of this jewel. So there's not any oil on it right now. So I need to move it a little bit. I like to see the reflection in the microscope, so then I can see the oil dropping on. So yes, now we have the reflection. I already cleaned this, by the way. You need to clean it first and take it out of its shock setting, which for some reason was not on my microscope anymore. I lost the footage, so here we go. Ah, that's too big. Okay, again. Attempt number 2. I think I have a little bit too much oil on my oiler here. This is very precise work. But let's see. Steady. Almost there. I touched it and it didn't transfer anything. So the drop must be on the upside of the oiler. So I'm trying to turn it around. Size is good, but it's not centered. Try again. Let's see if I can do it right now. Yes. This is like 90% of the jewel. Not good. Let's try again. Steady. Almost there. Oh. Touching it, there's not any oil transfer again, so I need to turn it around. Yeah, not centered. So eventually I managed, but I forgot to turn on my microscope. But yeah, eventually I got it in a decent condition. So let's move on. So now we get to reseat the jewel into its case, and it has this shock protection spring in it. And it's so fiddly to install this. So I'm doing this under a microscope, and I'm very scared that it's gonna fly away on me, probably to the left of my desk again, so then I can never find it. So I'm very careful and I'm a bit scared. So let's try. I'm using a piece of pegwood on the left and my pliers on the right. And what I'm trying to do is get all 3 feet into this little notch on the bottom of the shock setting. This little tiny notch in the rim over there where my pliers is now right now, and then I need to scoop it over for all 3 of them. So 1 is already in at the top. I'm trying to get the second in. Yes, it's in. It could fly away at any moment, so I'm, like I said, pretty scared. Don't want to force it, so very careful. Making sure to take a lot of deep breaths. And there is the last leg in its notch. So should be easy from here. A little bit more. It's over. It needs to be under the notch and then slide right in there. It's a little bit under tension. Like I said, it's a spring, so you see it like folding down a little bit. So it needs to be a little bit more down. And then, yes, there it is. Whew! So now I can show you something new. I've invested a little bit more in this glass thing, sort of holder, and I am not using lighter fluid anymore. I've got some hexane, which funnily enough was easier for me to get than lighter fluid. It's very difficult to get lighter fluid online in the Netherlands, but it's very easy to get hexane online. I don't know why, but as you can see, it dries very quickly, and then I can blow on the parts to make them dry even more and fly away, which is fun to do. So I'm not going to show this for every part, but just know that every part that goes into the watch has been cleaned, has been dipped into the hexane for a couple of minutes and then dried. So now we can put the train of wheels together again, and I'm going to speed this up a bit because obviously, again, I forgot how to put them in. So what I ended up doing is, after a lot of trial and error, because I still want to try if I can figure it out on my own, so I ended up looking on YouTube, looking up this movement, and after a while I found out that I need to put the big wheel in first, and on top of that goes the bridge. And then we can seat the escape wheel. And on top of that go these other wheels. This one's a bit tricky. Needs to go in that gap. Yeah, there it goes. And I already put the barrel arbor in. It's the one I'm spinning right now. Make sure that everything's seated correctly and engaging each other. And now we put in the click spring. Bit difficult to see here, but this is it. It's a bit different the way Seiko does it. This spring basically makes sure that the barrel only turns one way and it doesn't turn the other way, because the other way would be, you know, loosening the barrel, which is not something that you want to do, because then you lose power. And this is a big long piece of metal that goes over the barrel. And now we move the main bridge on top of everything, and now all the pivots need to be lined up, which is a very fiddly job, and this Seiko movement makes it even more difficult because the click spring is under here and it's sort of stopping it from dropping down, so I need to move it into place and then move the click spring out of the way, and only then can I move the pivots in place. So this is pretty fiddly. But after like 30 minutes, This should be okay, sort of. Is everything incorrectly? I don't know. Not sure. Should be... okay, and now it's snapped loose again. So the whole main plate is under tension, which make this so fiddly. So if you're working on an ETA movement, they've done the click string in a very different way, so I don't have to fiddle around as much as this. But yeah, this is how Seiko does it. But after a while, it seems to be in place, and if I move the barrel, everything is turning. Every wheel is turning, including the escape wheel, which is at the top, so this should be okay. So we can put in the screws now. There's one. And another one. And the last one. And now we can screw everything down. And the last one. See if it works. Yes, everything seems fine. And then we can put in the pallet fork, which is this tiny thing. Should be seated in there correctly. It should be fine. And here we have the pallet fork bridge. Oh, and I dropped it. This is a bit of an issue. Now the pallet fork is probably misaligned. And I'm trying to install it anyway. See if it's incorrectly. Again, this is a fiddly job. It's a very small part and it's very fragile. Looks to be in. Yeah, seems to be alright. And if I give it a little bit of tension on the barrel, it seems to be working. So we can screw that in now. Put the screw in first. And then tighten it. Now we can put the balance in. Which is a very delicate part. So again, this is, oh no. Oof, it dropped. Yeah, this is not good. It seems to be alive. But this is not good. Now I didn't get this on camera, but yeah, the balance is sort of coiled up on itself and I need to unwind it, which took a little bit of time. Sorry it's not on camera, but I got it straightened out eventually. So let's try installing the balance again. Now it's straightened out. There it goes a little bit. It's very fiddly again. So underneath there's this raised edge and there's a hole in the middle. So it's not really falling in right away. You need to nudge it into position and only then will it work. And after a while I blow some air on it. It's trying to move. Is this okay? It doesn't really look okay. It should be spinning more freely than it does right now. And after a very long time of taking the whole thing apart and then putting it back together again, It seems to be sort of working. Let's try again. It's a little bit vague. There it goes. This is... yeah, it seems to be running. Nice. It's very weak. But there's not a lot of wind in the barrel, so this is good. What happens if we put a little bit more wind in that barrel? It doesn't, the click doesn't seem to work if I wind it up a little bit more. Wonder what's going on there. That seems to be going back. And there's a tiny bit of wind in there. Now if I move it to the right, it should hold it into position. It should hold right now. And it's slipping. Did I put the click in correctly? Yeah, it's just slipping. This is not good. So after hours and hours of checking things and taking this thing apart and then assembling it back together again, I found out that this wheel is pretty loose. And it has this screw on it with 3 stripes, which should be a reverse threaded screw, and it's not a screw at all. It sort of clips in. I don't know if that's normal. I don't know. I rechecked the footage. I don't think I tightened it the incorrect way, but yeah, it seems to be either broken or maybe it broke during the fall. I think it did that, but yeah, it needs to be tightened, otherwise the click will not work. I even put the screw under the microscope. So this is the bottom of it. The pin in the middle is what I think broke off. Doesn't really look like it's broken. If I zoom in on it, and if I turn it around, so here you can see the 3 stripes on it. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is broken or not. It's not working correctly. So that's not good. And one other thing, I noticed that it is not running anymore. And you can see that here. So this part should have a little spike just like a wheel on the left. And it doesn't have anything anymore. So that probably broke off while trying to install the main bridge again and again and again. And did you remember the click spring that I had issues with and installing the main bridge? Well, this probably happened while installing the main bridge, and it just snapped off, and now it doesn't work anymore. So to summarize, we have a broken escape wheel pivot. We have 2 broken parts in the automatic winding works. And my intention while starting this channel was to make a video in a day, shoot everything and then upload the video no matter what, even if I failed. But I found it a bit underwhelming to post this video without trying to buy some parts and fixing it. So I waited a week, ordered some parts, and here it is. Here is the same movement type with a different date wheel, but it should all be the same. And this is second hand, so it was probably like 20 euros or something, including shipping, which is pretty cheap. And you can see here that it has a different rotor on it than the original one, but I seem to recall that they are made in different places, or these style of movements are made in different places and have different rotors. So the website said this was the same one, so it should be alright. So let's remove the rotor. There it goes. It seems to be attached, which is nice. And by the way, it has a little bit of corrosion, but should be okay. And if you see the movement here, it doesn't have a balance, but we have a good working balance, so this should be alright. Yeah, this should be okay. Now let's remove the automatic winding parts. Oh, and the barrel bridge and everything comes right apart. And there's the click spring, one that I always fiddle with. It does look a little bit different. Oh, parts are falling out. This part has a whole pin to it. That's weird. The other one didn't have that. Let's get the original side by side. Are they the same? Sort of looks the same, right? It's hard to see, but they're definitely made by the same company, or it's a really good clone. There are some differences. I see some holes that are on the left and not on the right. Did I order the wrong one? Well, let's see if these parts are interchangeable. I'm removing a sort of click spring. Right here I put a piece of Rodico on there so it doesn't move away on me again. I think it's out. Yeah, there it goes. Let's move that away in a safe place. Now, this thing has a pin. So this is the sort of forky thing that was broken on the original watch. There's some rust in here as well. That's not good. Let's get the fork of the original one, which has a totally different system on it. Oh, it is jeweled. This is different than the other one. The other one doesn't have a jewel. This sort of purplish thing in the middle is a jewel. And the other one doesn't have it. So here are the main bridges side by side. This is a sort of spot the difference. And there are differences. The one on top has a lot more jewels. And that is our original one. So it seems that the new one is a sort of cheaper make. And here you see the difference in rotors. The original one is on the right. The new one, or the sort of new one, is on the left. And you can see it's way bigger. And it even says that the one on the left has 17 jewels and the one on the right has 21. So yeah, this is way different. And last but not least, the sort of fork. This is the new one. And on top of that is the broken one, the original one. And it has jewel inside and the other one has rust inside. But they sort of seem the same. Maybe we can use the new one if we clean it up. Oh, and I almost forgot, we also need an escape wheel. So are these the same? And it's a bit difficult to see on this black pad, but the one on the left seems bigger. Yes, it is way bigger. Well, not way bigger, they're both tiny, but the one on the right is bigger, so these are not interchangeable. This sucks. But let's see if we can use the old automatic winding fork. I haven't cleaned it because I first want to see if it works. Let's see if we can use it if we install it, and if it makes a difference. So we need to line it up like so. And then there's this clip that needs to clip in place, which is very hard to film, but probably even harder to do. And then we can turn it around, put it back into place. And install the other part that was broken, which, by the way, I didn't show it, but these were not interchangeable as well. So I'm still using the old one, so it's not gonna work perfectly. Now I'm turning it over again because I forgot this plate. So now we only clipped it in, but this plate needs to cover it up. There's some jewels in here as well. It's nice and jeweled, this movement. And if we turn it over again, now we need to align this fork sort of with the other wheel, and there's this brass part in the way. Again, a very fiddly job. And a lot of fiddling later. If I now turn this wheel, you can see these forks moving up and down, and there's gonna go a little bit of wine into the mainspring. It does still go back when it's wound up too much, but this part seems to work right now. Progress. And the new rotor also didn't work, didn't fit, so I'm trying to reinstall this rotor. But yeah, I used a lot of force here. Off camera I tried to use a crystal press as well, and it doesn't fit anymore. I'm not sure if this is the way to do it, or if this part is broken, so maybe someone in the comments can tell me. But yeah. It doesn't seem that I can get this back together again. So it's a little bit of a bummer, but yeah, I cannot fix this watch. I don't have the parts for it, and yeah, the parts that I bought from the donor watch are not good. So I'm gonna put it back together again. This will be a fail video. I will not fix this watch. So the answer to can I fix this is no. Not yet, which is a bit sad, but you know, you can't win them all. Otherwise, this video will take me months to complete. The funny thing is I recently discovered that this watch is actually Spanish. The extra weekdays are Spanish, and I think it's Domingo where it's now on. It's DOM. And the funny thing is, in Dutch, the DOM means stupid or dumb. So yeah, I feel a bit offended by this watch. So I think I should fix it. Let me know in the comments if you want me to fix this. But I do have some other watches lined up, and there will be sort of vintage watches, not these Seikos anymore. I don't have more Seikos. I think I had enough Seikos for now. And a little bit of a channel update. I'll be moving the next month or maybe 2, so there will be no videos, but I do look forward to my new house because I will have a dedicated watchmaking table, so no more shoving my keyboard aside and having only one day in the weekend to do these videos, because then obviously I need to work on the desk and everything needs to be out of the way, otherwise it will get damaged. So looking forward to that. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a like. Subscribe is also very helpful. I have set up a Patreon. I'm saving up for a watch cleaning machine, and these are like 500 euros. So everything you can do, even watching this video, I'm very grateful for it. So you don't have to do anything. I'm doing this for fun, but yeah, if you want to help me out, that is greatly appreciated. So I'll see you in a couple of months. Then I have another video probably. And have a good day, and remember to drink your tea. Bye bye.